Even after all these years, the story of LeAnn Rimes and Eddie Cibrian just won't fade away. What started as a Hollywood moment on a movie set turned into something much bigger, something that's been watched, judged, and talked about for over a decade. And now, after everything, LeAnn is finally opening up in a way that's making people look at their relationship differently. But to really understand it, you have to go back to the very beginning, because this didn't start the way most people think. LeAnn Rimes wasn't just another young singer trying to make it. By the time she was 6, she was already performing in talent shows across Texas. And by 13, she had released an album that would completely change her life. Blue didn't just do well, it exploded. Millions of copies sold. Awards followed quickly. She became the youngest person ever to win a Grammy for Best New Artist. Think about that for a second. A teenager, suddenly one of the biggest names in music. But what does that kind of fame really do to someone so young? Her career didn't slow down either. If anything, it accelerated. Songs like How Do I Live dominated charts for over a year, crossing from country into pop and reaching audiences all over the world. By the early 2000s, she had sold tens of millions of records. From the outside, it looked like a dream. But behind that success, things were already starting to crack. Legal battles with her own father over money and control came into the spotlight. At just 17, she filed a lawsuit. At 18, she was fighting to take back control of her own career. So the question is, was the pressure already building long before her personal life made headlines? In 2002, she tried to create stability. At 19, she married Dean Shermet. It seemed like a grounding decision, a young star choosing a quieter, more settled life. He supported her career, even working alongside her on tour. Publicly, they looked solid. But behind the scenes, the demands of fame never really stopped. Touring, recording, constant attention, it all added up. And over time, that pressure started to show. Was this relationship ever truly built to survive that kind of life? At the same time, in a completely different part of Hollywood, Eddie Cibrian was building his own career. He wasn't a global superstar like Rimes, but he had something just as valuable: consistency. Roles in shows like Third Watch gave him steady work and a loyal audience. He built a reputation as a dependable actor. And in 2001, he married Brandi Glanville. They had 2 sons and lived mostly outside the spotlight. 4 years, their life seemed stable, almost ordinary by Hollywood standards. But sometimes, it's the quiet stories that take the most unexpected turns, right? Everything changed in 2008. That's when LeAnn Rimes and Eddie Cibrian met on the set of a TV movie called Northern Lights. On paper, it was just another project. A romantic story, modest budget, nothing unusual. But the timing couldn't have been more complicated. Both were married. Both were at turning points in their lives. Long filming days turned into late-night conversations. On-screen chemistry slowly blurred into something off-screen. And here's the thing. No one outside that set knew what was really happening yet. But then, in early 2009, everything came crashing into the public eye. Photos surfaced. Not from a movie set, but from real life. Restaurants. Private moments. Suddenly, it wasn't a rumor anymore. It was confirmed. Headlines exploded. And almost overnight, the story went from Hollywood gossip to full-blown scandal. But why did the reaction hit so hard? Especially for LeAnn. The backlash was intense. Brutal, even. While both faced criticism, LeAnn became the main target. Her image as a young, wholesome star clashed hard with the reality people were seeing. Interviews, tabloids, online discussions, everywhere you looked, the story was being dissected. Apologies were issued. Regret was expressed. But by then, it didn't really matter. The damage had already been done. And what happened next would change 4 lives forever. By 2010, both marriages were over. LeAnn and Dean finalized their divorce. Eddie and Brandi did the same. 2 families, completely reshaped within a year. And instead of fading away, the relationship between LeAnn and Eddie stayed in the spotlight. Every appearance, every photo, every outing, it was all watched. What started as a private connection had turned into something the entire world felt involved in. But here's the real question. Could a relationship that began like this actually last? Brandi Glanville made sure the story didn't disappear. Through interviews and her memoir, she shared her side openly. Pain, anger, humiliation, all of it laid out in public. Her words kept the story alive years after it first broke. At the same time, LeAnn faced constant speculation and criticism. Stories, rumors, accusations, some confirmed, many not. But in the media, once a narrative takes hold, it doesn't let go easily. So how do you move forward when the past keeps getting pulled back into the present? In 2011, despite everything, LeAnn and Eddie got married. No big media spectacle. No grand announcement. Just a quiet ceremony. It was their way of drawing a line between the chaos behind them and the life they wanted ahead. And for a while, it seemed like they were trying to rebuild. LeAnn continued her music, releasing more personal, reflective work. Eddie kept acting, taking on different roles across television. They even stepped into reality TV, showing their life together in an attempt to reshape how people saw them. But did it actually change anything? Over time, the noise around them softened. Not completely, but enough. The story didn't disappear, it just changed. Instead of scandal, it became something else. A long-term relationship that had survived against the odds. They built a blended family, navigated careers, and slowly created a more controlled public image. Still, the past never fully went away. Online, people kept bringing it up. Old headlines stayed accessible. It was like their beginning was always just one click away. So even years later, could they ever truly move on? And now, 15 years into their marriage, a new layer has been added. In 2026, LeAnn shared something unexpected. Not a dramatic confession, not a clear explanation, just a few carefully chosen words. She described tense, heart-wrenching things happening at home. No details. No names. Just emotion. And strangely, that silence said more than any full explanation could. What exactly is going on behind the scenes now? At the same time, she spoke about love, gratitude, and staying connected. She talked about tears, but also laughter. Worry, but also strength. It wasn't a story of everything falling apart. It wasn't a story of everything being perfect either. It was something in between. Real. Complicated. Unresolved. And maybe that's what makes it so compelling even now. Because this relationship has never been simple. It started in controversy. It survived public judgment. It adapted over time. And now, even after all these years, it's still evolving. Still being tested. Still moving forward. And maybe that's the part no one expected, that it wouldn't just end, but continue. So after everything they've been through, one question still lingers. Is this story finally settling into peace, or is there another chapter we haven't seen yet?